Hello and welcome to the channel. The Nigeria judiciary has so often in the past fall our hands when it comes to delivering judgment on the big stage. Yes, they've got it right once or twice, but never in the biggest, grandest of stage. There is no stage as big or grand as this one we now find ourselves, and the fate of millions of Nigerians lie in this one decision. A decision that could ultimately shape the future of this country. Will they be bold and brave enough to make the right call, or will they sleep to old habits and do what they've always done? Shaking out and break the hearts of multitudes. Subscribe, like, share, and comment. Thank you. Election petitions. Nigeria's judiciary must redeem itself. In Nigeria, elections almost always end up in courts. To stem this tide, the Electoral Act of 2022 introduced the Bimodal Voter Accreditation System, BVAS, a technology that will drastically reduce electoral malpractices. If that happened, election results will be more credible and less prone to legal challenge, although election matters remain justiciable, that is, subject to trial in a court of law. Indeed, BVAS reduced the number of petitions arising from this year's general elections compared to the 6 previous elections since 1999. However, the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) willfully refused to use BVAS in the presidential election and in some governorship elections. Consequently, several results announced by INEC raised the issues of process values and substantive justice that are now subject to trial in the election tribunals and the courts, ending up inevitably in the Supreme Court. But will the judiciary ensure substantive justice so that their decisions reflect the will of the people as expressed in elections instead of perverting it? Or will the tribunal or the court be the continuation of politics by other means, whereby judges give subjective judgments that are not defined by law, evidence, and justice? Sadly, based on the past, few can vouch for the judiciary to do the right thing. In 2020, judicialization of elections erodes democratic legitimacy in Nigeria, reacting to 2 controversial Supreme Court decisions. In one, the court removed as governor the person who scored the highest votes in the election and replaced him with the person who came fourth. In another, the court removed the duly elected governor and substituted him with the loser because the winner's running mate presented forged certificates to INEC. Last year, the Supreme Court affirmed Ahmed Lawan, current Senate President, as the valid candidate for a senatorial district, even though he didn't contest the party's primary. In all these cases, the Supreme Court overrode the will of the people. Crucially, all the cases were decided on technicalities. If a lawyer can't win a case through substantive arguments, he will try to win it through procedural arguments or technicalities. Indeed, here's how Professor Joel Trachtman at Tufts University puts it in his book, The Tools of Argument. If your opponent has the better substantive argument, counter with procedural arguments, which is why a criminal can get off on a technicality, why technicality often trumps substantive justice. But that's dangerous for democracy. Technicality must not become a tool for subverting the will of the people. The Supreme Court cannot treat politicians as if they are fungible, as if they are substitutable, like you substitute one naira note for another 1 naira note. No, they are not. If the people voted for A, imposing B or C on them undermines democratic consent and legitimacy. Instead of deciding a case on a technicality, thereby making loser, winner, and winner, loser, the Supreme Court should annul the election and order a rerun. There should be direct electoral links between the governed and those governing them. Curiously, while the Supreme Court has annulled several governorship elections, it doesn't seem to have the courage to alter the outcome of a presidential election. Why? Are the irregularities that lead to cancellations of governorship elections not present in larger scale in a presidential election? Of course they are, as evident in this year's sham presidential poll. But the system is heavily skewed against petitioners in a presidential election. Think about it. Once INEC declared someone winner in a presidential election, everyone, particularly the media, begins to call him president-elect. Foreign leaders, after being heavily lobbied, send congratulatory messages to him, and the winner himself begins to act like an incoming president. In those circumstances, only a brave Supreme Court like that of Kenya can annul the election if it's deeply flawed or fraudulent. Secondly, once the Chief Justice of Nigeria (CJN) swears in a president-elect as president, can the Supreme Court later annul the election and ask the president to vacate the office? Utterly implausible. Subscribe, like, share, comment, and please turn the notification bell on. Thank you. This is the reason Dr. Olisa Agbakoba San, former president of the Nigeria Bar Association (NBA), said that the presidential election petitions should be concluded, including at the Supreme Court, before the inauguration of a new president, as done in many countries. But I go further. Given that the Supreme Court, not INEC, has the final say on the outcome of a presidential election, the INEC-declared winner should not enjoy a fait accompli, an aura of inevitability through endlessly calling him president-elect. He is only for now INEC-declared president-elect until the Supreme Court speaks, for goodness sake. But let's face it, the elephant in the room is the integrity of the judiciary. This is a country where 2 CJNs were removed from office on corruption allegations. This is a country where security agents invaded the houses of judges and arrested them on corruption allegations. According to a UN report, judges who cannot be corrupted inspire and compel corruption-free conduct in society as a whole. Sadly, the judiciary is not unimpeachable. Of course, there are incorruptible judges, but on the whole, the judiciary lacks the independence, impartiality, and courage to safeguard Nigerians' democracy through credible decisions. That's the news, guys. Thanks for listening. Until next time, bye.